Hey y'all, I'm Dan, and this is Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. This week, I'm chatting with Elizabeth Elswick, the creative force behind Hippie's Daughter, a business bringing Appalachian-inspired apparel and accessories to life. We dive into her journey as an artist, how her family and heritage influence her work, and the challenges of turning creativity into a business. Plus, we talk about the quirks of Appalachian sayings, the magic of growing up in these hills, and what's next for Hippie's Daughter. Let's dive in. Hey Elizabeth, welcome to Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good, surviving the snow, and I
Ugh.
think we have some more on the way, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's just so cold.
That's the part I hate is I love snow. I think it's pretty and everything. If it could just be 65 or 70 and there still be snow.
That would be perfect.
My first question for you is, if someone were meeting you for the first time, how would you describe what you do in just a few words?
It's always so hard because it happens at every event and I trip up every time I try to explain it. So just a few words: Appalachian inspired apparel and accessories.
That was perfect. So you are the owner of Hippie's Daughter. With that name, where did that come from?
Well, my dad is a huge hippie, so is my mom, but my dad more so. And before I even started this business or even thought of having a business, my husband came up with the name. He was like, "You're a hippie's daughter." And it's kind of just when I decided I hated my full-time job and wanted to start a business, that was it.
How long have you been in the game?
2017. I started
Oh, wow.
the beginning of that year.
Okay.
But I'd always done art and stuff. I just officially did business in 2017.
Have you always been in West Virginia?
Yes, I grew up in Marmette, so the other side of Charleston.
Okay.
And then went to Riverside, went to Tech in Montgomery. And then right before me and my husband got married, we decided to buy a house first. So we moved to St. Albans, then got married all the same year.
Okay. Cool. Did you go to school for art?
I did. In high school, I took as many art classes as they would let me. I did AP art. And then when I went to Tech, I did a 2+2 program. So I did printing technologies and graphic design.
Okay. So I take it you, even probably from a young age, you've always been artsy and creative.
Yep. There's a lot of sketchbooks and paintings and tons of stuff.
Do you keep sometimes I have almost like a chest and it has my art books from middle school or something like that. And I always try to look back on my art then versus now.
Yeah, some of it's not so great, but I have some here with me now in St. Albans, and then there's more at my parents' house. And then a lot of the really big stuff, the poster size stuff, they store under their mattress to keep it flat because there's nowhere to hang it all. So it's all still around.
Do you remember the first item that you sold or created for Hippie's Daughter?
I know the first, my first sale because it was I call her aunt. She bought a painting. So when I started, I would hand paint canvas signs, and then my husband would frame them with wood. So she had bought the very first one I ever made that was a John Muir quote.
Was it a goal to create Hippie's Daughter, to create a business, or did it just happen?
Well, I'm sure our age people growing up, we were kind of always told art's not going to make you a living.
Uh-huh.
So I never really, I went to school for graphic design and never really went into it because I didn't love it. So it was never really it was always in the back of my head as a goal, but I was always we need to pay the bills. But then there was just that breaking point where I was I got to do it or I'm just going to be miserable.
Your work is I feel like you hit Appalachia, however the saying goes, like nail on the head or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess, How did that all come to be, like wanting to share Appalachia like that with the world?
Well, of course, being West Virginian, like it started with like outdoorsy stuff and West Virginia stuff. And then I was like, the West Virginia kind of platform is oversaturated. So I just kind of took a little turn and explored more. And then one day my mom, like, I don't remember what we were talking about, but she said, well, shit fire. And I was like, why has that never registered in my head that you've said that? And then I just went down the rabbit hole.
Uh-huh. As far as inspiration goes, it's like for me, I could be out and about, taking a walk or even at the grocery store or something, and I'll
Yeah.
see something and it just kind of creates a little idea. So I'll get my note app out and just jot down like a quick little, where does of course, like your Appalachia inspired, but like the creative
I do the
okay.
same thing.
Okay.
It goes on and on forever.
That answers the question right there.
But that's basically the same thing. Of course, a lot of the like phrases and stuff that I pull are things that I've heard my family say, or it's even gotten to the point where I'll do events and people will be like, you need to do this or this. I'm like, let me write it down. I'll brainstorm, see what I can think on it.
So how often do you scrap like an idea before it becomes like perfect?
All the time. There's been kind of ideas that I've started and then a year later I'll be like, oh, let's go back to that. And sometimes they just completely die.
I feel that there's some things that I don't know, I always tell myself like there was like a meme I saw and it's like the public's just not ready for it or something. But
Yeah.
like I'll come back to it and then it just comes to like full fruition and it's like maybe I just should have waited for it to like sometimes it just has to like marinate in my mind for it to be.
Or I'll draw it like 17 different times.
Why is it like important to you to create and showcase Appalachia? I mean, you could create, I don't know, like out west stuff or like Lord, like, but I guess like why does it resonate so much with you and why is it important to you?
It just reminds me so much of my family and members that I've lost. And then like when I do events, I have so many people come up and like tell me stories of why they love this and who it makes them think of. And it keeps me going. I love to do events and people are like, oh my God, I haven't heard that in like a decade. I'm like, we're bringing it back. You need to keep it there. Keep it alive.
That's what I kind of love because like, I mean, there's certain things like Lord willing and the creek don't rise or whatever, but like things like Shitfire, it's good to see like the preservation through art like that to keep it. Do you have a favorite tradition, place or memory from Appalachia that you feel shines through in your work?
Everything for me kind of goes back to my family's property in the Monongalia National Forest.
Okay.
My dad's dad had bought it like 35 acres back in 1957.
Oh, wow.
Without my grandmother knowing. No electricity, no plumbing. It's literally in the middle of the Monongalia National Forest, like the southern part of it.
Uh-huh.
No cell service. It's perfection. It's completely silent. You can just go recharge. It's my favorite place on earth.
That's awesome, though. I mean, to have like a space like that you can go to just to completely disconnect.
That's kind of like how I figured. That's kind of like why I started with like outdoor stuff, because we would just go and be surrounded by forest and have literally nothing or nobody near us. It's just so peaceful.
Would you say that's your favorite spot in West Virginia?
Oh, absolutely. And like nobody ever believes me about it. Like I could never get my friends to go growing up because they're like, what?
I'd be getting new friends. I'm just joking. What's been one of the hardest challenges you faced in your business journey? Or kind of like creative, kind of turning it into?
It's like the art side is easier for me. It's the business taxes not fun side that's really painful for me and really hard for me to like understand, and it's very easy for me to get behind on. I think that's the scariest part, to be honest, because we weren't taught any of that in school. We weren't taught how to do any financial anything in school. So that's the hard part for me. But I know like just starting out, it's hard for people just to start. And that's what, like, I always tell people, like, just start. If you're not sure what to start with, everybody loves stickers. They're inexpensive. It's like the most inexpensive way for somebody to support an artist. It's perfect. Great way to start.
And everybody loves stickers. I mean,
Yeah.
I see them all the time on like the Stanley Cups or whatever, like
Yeah.
lunch boxes, anything like that. What is on the horizon for Hippie's Daughter? Are there any big projects or like collaborations or anything?
I've been so burnt out that I haven't really dove into 2025 anything.
No truer words. Okay.
It's been a rough like last quarter of last year and just this month this year. Like I'm burnt out, creative block, full. But the only thing like I know I need to focus on is getting this retail space done and open at some point, whether that's a regular schedule like a normal store or maybe just doing like an event every
Yeah.
week, like a weekend a month. We'll see what I can handle.
I think that would be awesome though. It sounds really, as far as, listen, I feel you on the burnout. I guess,
Oh,
how do you navigate burnout? What's your, like your go-to to get kind of over that hump? Like, I know
it's
that's not like
really,
a magic wand, but
yeah, it's really hard. Like if I can take like a nice short trip, great, that helps. But with this weather now, like it's not possible. Like pretty much since Christmas, I've been just working like half days and then I'll go home.
yeah.
Just doing like the bare minimum, getting out the orders that come in, the wholesale orders, not really making anything new. Just working like the first half of the day and then going home and hanging out with all the animals.
Yes, that's the way. What kind of animals do you have?
We have 3 cats and 2 dogs. So we have a stray orange cat that adopted us. He's
Oh,
like the perfect little domestic angel now. And we have 2 Maine Coon cats. They're like a year old. They're pretty big. And then we have a German Shepherd and a Shepherd Husky mix.
okay. I love it. It's like the menagerie or whatever the word is.
It's a lot to handle, but that's our kids.
My last real question for you is, what do you hope people feel or take away when they buy something that you've created?
It goes back to why I do it in general. Like I hope it just reminds them of a loved one or makes them feel at home. Like I do ship a lot of stuff outside of Appalachia, so I just hope that it like reminds those people of home
Yeah, that's
or
so
of loved
cool.
ones that may have been here previously.
Hmm. The hat that I bought, the like, I think it says Appalachian on it. I wear that hat everywhere. I just really love it because to me, like, it really concretes. Because I used to not, to be honest, I used to not love West Virginia and I used to not love Appalachia. But, you know, the older I get and a lot that's happened since then, that has really been one of my favorite. You know, it concretes like, you know, I am from Appalachia and there is a lot here to be proud of. And it's like, it's just really, I don't know, it's just very, very close to heart for me to
Yeah.
have that hat.
And I think, like, I don't know a West Virginian that hasn't gone through that phase at some point in their life. Like, at some point, we all want to just escape.
Hmm.
And then some of us do, and then some of us fall back in love with it and
Hmm.
stay and try to make it better.
Uh-huh. That's like and I feel like a lot of people usually who like move away after a few years, they always come back.
Yes, I know so many people that have left and come back.
All right, so that was everything. Before we move into like your socials and the rapid fire questions, is there anything that we have not touched or talked about that you would want to talk about?
I don't guess.
I just always like to throw that out. I mean, because Lord, anything. Okay, so if you do want to list your socials or just tell listeners and watchers how they can connect with you, be it social media or shops or anything like that.
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as at hippies_daughter. My website's thehippiesdaughter.com. And then the store that I probably stock the most is Coal River Coffee in St. Albans. Love Coal River Coffee.
I do too.
Ooh. And I just restocked them.
So that means everybody head over there now. I assume, are you a coffee person?
Yes.
Okay, same. I'll be sure to list your socials in the show notes just so people can connect with you. All right, so it is time for the rapid fire questions.
Oh
I just
dear.
have three. These are, I feel like I went a little not wild with these ones, but there's definitely some creativity behind these. Okay, so question one, before I ask, have you watched Game of Thrones or kind of familiar with Game of Thrones?
I've watched it, but of course it was a very long time ago at this point.
It's okay.
So we'll see how much I remember.
So do you know how kind of in Game of Thrones they had like the Starks, the Targaryens, and they had like their sigils, like the dragon, the direwolf? Okay, so if you were a house in Game of Thrones, which hopefully I can say Game of Thrones and it not be like copyrighted or something like that.
Oh, bless. It
What?
probably will be.
I'll bleep it if so. What
Thermal
Appalachian
games.
critter would be your sigil?
Probably the possum.
I was hoping you were going to say
We
that.
have a very, very chunky possum that comes to eat cat food off of our porch. Oh my God, I just want to squish them.
I wish I feel like I've tried to, like, not in like an ethical way, but try to attract like raccoons or possums because I love them and I like seeing them like just be close. And it's like, I've never in my life touched or held like an in-life possum and I really want to.
You absolutely need to go to Possum Fest.
Is it the one in Kentucky?
Yes.
Listen, I tried to go there, I think last year, and something happened that didn't line up and I didn't get to go. But I really want to plan to make it like this year.
That event was so much fun. And I got to hold a possum.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that event was incredible. And I think that was only like their second or third year they've done it.
Oh, really?
It was,
Okay.
It was like hugely attended.
Oh, I could imagine.
I have also fed a raccoon marshmallows at my family's camp in Monongalia.
I could just imagine.
They're so cute with it.
I know. That's like my favorite. Like when I think like maybe like the closest thing I can compare it to is like the little raccoon in Pocahontas, how it's
Yes.
always like, I just always love, and I've seen videos where it had gotten like a raccoon had gotten into like a bag of like cotton candy and they like when they wash their food sometimes and it kept grabbing like the cotton candy and when it would try to wash it, it would disappear.
It's adorable, but also really sad for the raccoon.
I know. I was like, you know what? Come here, I'll give you some.
But they absolutely do, like, because we had to switch to putting like glass bowls on our porch of cat food because we had like the cute like vintage Tupperware plastic bowls. The raccoon took the bowl and all. He picked up the bowl of cat food and carried it off.
He said, "This is mine now."
Yeah, never saw the bowl ever again.
Just put out like a wanted poster for like a klepto raccoon. Okay, next question is, it's a little bit easier, but it's kind of just as bizarre. So, okay, so picture it that West Virginia has been turned into a video game and you get to pick one West Virginia cryptid as your sidekick. Who are you calling?
Well, it's got to be Mothman because he can fly. Like, he can take me anywhere I need to go.
I so wish, like, I don't know, like, if I had the ability to fly, like, you would never catch me walking again.
Right? It would be so much fun.
I feel like this one's pretty normal. So you're hosting, be it either West Virginia or an Appalachian dinner. What is one dish that has to be on the table?
Oh my God, there's so many. Definitely cornbread.
Cornbread is very solid, and I haven't had cornbread in too long. My grandma used to make it all the time, and she passed, and no one has really picked up the torch to be like the cornbread maker.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is not where that dies. Like, someone has to get her cookbook or something and make cornbread.
That's how. So my grandmother that passed a couple years ago, she never made like for Thanksgiving, like you go everywhere and it's turkey and ham.
Uh-huh.
She never made the normal foods because she knew we would have to go to 3 other houses and eat that. So she would always make like completely different stuff like pork loin or baked steak. And she never, like she would make like the challah bread. She would make them into rolls and they were so good. Oh, I miss them. And nobody else will make them in our family.
Sounds like you have to pick the torch up.
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know.
That's really cool, though. That's a really good, like, different kind of tradition because, I mean, Cody, my partner, and we have like three different places we have to go to,
Yep.
and his family is from Addison, and my family usually does. Sometimes we'll branch out a little bit sometimes, but it's either always like ham, turkey, or sometimes my brother will smoke like lamb or something.
Yeah.
So, but when we go to his family, they make like a dressing or like a stuffing, and it's like oyster, and that was the very first time I had it, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
My husband's mom makes that. She'll usually only make it when her dad comes back into the state.
Hmm.
He devours it, but that was the first time I'd ever had it. It was good. It's not for everybody.
Exactly. I really appreciate you coming on and opening up and sharing. So,
Good. Thank you. And I love the branding was it Megan that did it?
yes,
So
yes.
good.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. Elizabeth's passion for keeping Appalachian culture alive through art is inspiring, and I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you love the episode, follow and rate the show on your favorite podcast platform. You can also connect with me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Do you have a small Appalachian business or know someone who would like to share their story? Shoot me an email at kinfolkpodcastconnect@gmail.com. I'd love to chat. Show notes, including links to Hippie's daughter, can be found in the episode description and on Instagram. Until next time, keep exploring, stay kind, and don't be a stranger.